Hey guys, so I wanted to talk today about the reload. I know this question has been brought up probably numerous times by a few different shooters. Most notably, David Overland had asked me a while back to see if I could maybe make a video addressing my personal technique on how I perform a reload, especially being a lefty. Um, Basically, getting right down to it, I don't use anything as far as on my normal competition gun on my 1911. I don't use any kind of a lefty or an ambi mag release. I know those are few and far between, but they are available. I use just an Ed Brown extended mag release button um, to be able to actuate the mag release itself with my trigger finger. So even if I were using, say, my production gun, a SIG P320, or I used to shoot a little bit with a Glock 17 as well. I still activate them the same way. I don't even worry about swapping that mag release over to the other side and using my thumb. It's kind of always been one of those things. It's just the way I've trained for a long time, and it's what's comfortable for me. And that's basically just to pull my finger out of the trigger guard, mash the mag release, and get another magazine into the gun as fast as possible. Um, as far as slide lock reloads, with a 1911, again, I manipulate everything with the trigger finger. So I pull the trigger finger out, mash the mag release, get the mag out. When I also release the slide, when I put a new magazine into the gun, I just basically use my finger to drop the slide, and slide goes home, and I'm back to shooting again. With the SIG, the thing that's really cool about it is it's a full ambidextrous firearm. So it does have a slide release on the left side of the gun that I'm actually now training and practicing with, to being able to drop the slide from a slide lock with my strong thumb. When I had the Glock, I didn't have any super special way. I tried to do the whole, do the mag change and then break my grip to really pull my trigger finger back to hit the mag release. And it wasn't the most effective technique for me. The main thing for me, obviously, with that particular firearm was to not run the gun dry, if at all possible. And when I had to, it was a lot of it was just basically getting the magazine in the gun and then racking the slide in order to get the gun back in action. I didn't worry about any kind of special techniques or any speed techniques related with that. As far as the mag change itself is concerned, nothing really is any different or special, other than how I activate the mag release with my strong trigger finger. As far as how my gun is set up, how my rig is set up, anything with technique. When it comes to doing the reload, it's pretty much the things I definitely primarily focus on, especially, is not just in speed in the reload itself, but also, obviously, I'm much more a stickler on technique, including follow through on the last shot broke. So when I focus on doing reloads and practicing reloads in dry fire or even live fire, for me, the key number one thing is to always, to have the gun ready to fire. So like in dry fire, chamber's empty, but the hammer's cocked. I press out towards a target, and I'm calling that shot and dropping the hammer. So that gets me into the routine of always being able to call that final shot before I even initiate a reload, so that I'm giving myself the benefit of being honest as far as how I'm calling the shot and what my trigger control looks like before I rush to get the reload performed. All too often, it's pretty easy when you're trying to break some record or to set some almost impossible par time sometimes, to cheat yourself and just kind of, you're dropping your hand off the gun to reach for another magazine to initiate the reload fast, and we're not calling that last shot, or we're not even focused on calling that last shot when we pull the trigger, and break the trigger on the front sight. So my key points as far as indexes are concerned is to get the gun pressed out on the target. I'm going to call the shot. I'm going to follow the sights and press the trigger straight back. As soon as the trigger's pressed, then I'm going to break grip with my support hand and just down at a natural fall right to the magazine. I'm going to pull the magazine right off the pouch. At the same time that I'm dropping that hand off the gun, I'm activating the mag release. So it's activate the mag release, get the magazine dropped out of the gun, and keep the gun as vertical as possible so that the magazine drops free and doesn't get hung up in the gun or fall out at an angle or start to drag, which can cause the gun or cause the magazine to, however, to not fall out of the gun. So by keeping the gun level, you're going to, press the trigger, hit the magazine release, at the same time grasping the new magazine from the mag pouch, canting the gun just enough to be able to see the bottom of the mag well, and then bring the magazine to the gun. And in a second that the brass, and I'm using dummy rounds here, the second that the brass disappears into the mag well, I know I'm pretty well home free, so it's just a matter of then releasing with my fingers to press the magazine back into the gun as I roll the gun back out on target and reattach my support hand and get my grip established, and I'm back on target, back on sights, and I'm ready to fire again. One of the main things to remember is to focus your attention on, again, is the front sight to the back of the magazine, or the back of the mag well rather, looking the magazine into the mag well, and then rolling your eyes just as well as you roll the front sight back out on the target and you're ready to shoot again. As far as setting a par or setting a timer or trying to rush them, the main thing I want to stress more than anything is to focus on smooth technique. I'm not a follower of the slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slow is slow, but smooth is the catalyst for fast. So in order to go fast, we need to make sure that our technique itself is smooth in how we grasp the magazine, how we index our hand to the magazine, how the magazines are indexed on the mag pouches, to then getting the magazine and pointing the mag well itself directly in line with the magazine so that we can put those two together and everything becomes smooth. If when you're in dry fire or live fire and you're really struggling with getting those things lined up and becoming smooth at them, and it seems like it's taking forever, or you're cramming it into the back of your hand, or you're tossing magazines across the range or across your basement or whatever, take the timer away, slow down, try to relieve as much tension as possible, because what happens is, obviously, once we start getting tense, it's just like it is with the draw. We get tense on the draw, and everything really starts to cause too much uptightness and not being able to allow our bodies to flow smoothly to get the manipulation done that needs to be done to get the gun right back on target, ready to go. So kind of a little trick I've learned is to help relieve tension, focus on what your face is doing. So, for example, you hear a lot of guys talk about their reload faces. A lot of 3-gun guys talk about, the funny looks on people's faces when they're trying to reload, an 8-round reload on a shotgun, or they're reloading a pistol, and they seem to have so much tension in their face, and they're jutting their jaw, or their mouth's hanging open, or they're so intense on what they're trying to do that's when mistakes are made. So, kind of a little trick I learned along the way was, instead of focusing so much on speed from the magazine and trying to rip it and get it into the gun, focus on just exactly what my face is doing. Am I nice, calm, cool, and relaxed in the face? And if so, 99 and 9/10% of the time, my reloads go smooth, they go effectively, and I'm able to practice and move up through, a specific par that I might have set myself up for. And it's starting out, you don't have to worry about breaking a record. It's not about developing a sub 1 second reload the very first time you really start practicing and hammering through reloads. It's about, mastering the technique itself, making sure that you're breaking the grip just enough. If you're a right-handed guy, being able to hit the mag release and hitting it every single time. You're not worrying about, barely hitting it or getting the magazine to slightly drop out and get hung up in the gun, which are things that slow you down. Realizing what the angle needs to be from the gun to the magazine so that you can seat them smoothly into the gun every single time. Getting the magazines and setting the tension right on your mag pouches to be able to get the magazines out of the mag pouches effectively. Getting your purchase or your grip on your hand to the magazine, and then again, shortest amount of movement from the support hand to the magazine back to the gun, and support hand back on the gun. So I hope this video is of help to everybody, and look forward to seeing you all the next time. Thanks.